You are now watching Bleav. Do you believe?
Welcome in to Bleav in Jaguars. I'm Jordan Lugo, joined as always by former Jaguars tight end Clay Herbert. Victory Wednesday here in Duval County. Jaguars hosting the Chargers this Saturday night after taking down the Tennessee Titans in front of a raucous home crowd to win the AFC South champs here in Duval County. But again, hosting the Chargers Saturday night wild card round, 8:15 in primetime on NBC. Second straight Saturday night game for the Jaguars in primetime. How about it, Clay?
Man, you can't ask for anything more. I'm pumped up, man. You know what I'll be doing Saturday night? I'm gonna be hanging out, watching the game. Hoping my Jags win. I think they got a good shot. Obviously, this is a team they've played before. It's a team they beat before. A team they've beat before at their place. So I like our chances.
10, it wasn't
38
just
to 10.
Win.
Yeah. And they are, I think, 1-point dogs, but I like our chances. I think that we're going to get into a few things today. Obviously, talk a little bit about last week's game to clinch this playoff berth. But it's exciting time for Duval. It's going to be a cold one, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is going to be a cold one, and it is going to be a lot of fun. Completely agree with you there, Clay. You can follow Clay on Twitter at ClayHarbs82, myself at Jordan DeLugo. Make sure to subscribe and review on your podcast platform of choice. If you enjoy the show, you can also check us out on the Gen Jag YouTube page if you want to watch us talk about the Jags and see these pretty faces. Clay's is a little prettier than mine. I got to get a little trim.
Oh man, it's all about preference.
That's absolutely true. Beauty in the eye of the beholder.
Yep.
But Jaguars, a heart-stopping victory over the Titans, 20-16, on the back of a late-game strip sack by Rayshawn Jenkins, which was returned for a touchdown by Josh Allen. Josh Allen kind of being the recipient of a gift as he gifted Tyson Campbell a scoop and score the week before in Houston. Yep. So karma coming around for Josh Allen. You love to see that. What were your thoughts during that late game stretch? How are you feeling about this team? I'll be honest. For me, I was nervous as hell.
Oh, I was nervous. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe. I think we're gonna lose to the friggin' Titans here. And that play, I thought they were gonna call a forward pass because there was a very similar play that happened to the Bears last week, and Justin Fields, his finger just touched the ball. He got hit. And his fingertip, it goes forward, same exact play, and it got called incomplete.
Yeah.
And then this play got called a fumble, so I was shocked. I left the room for a second. Oh man, that's just an incomplete pass. I come back and I go, what? They counted that? It's unbelievable. So I was surprised, obviously pleasantly surprised. I was happy about it. I mean, it's a heck of a play, and those are just the way the ball falls, man. You don't know which way it's going to bounce. The way the ball bounces there, it bounces Jaguars' way.
Yeah, and the way the NFL's officiating is just so inconsistent. To bring up your point, I think that's maddening, and I'm sure there was a lot of Titans fans out there that were disappointed. But to me, I do think they got this one right.
Yeah.
The palm is empty as the arm starts going forward. And I think the reason it's kind of confusing is because the ball does go forward, but it was kind of like how you said Josh Dobbs' fingers and hand, even though he wasn't gripping the ball, looked like they pushed it forward with the motion because Rayshawn Jenkins hit his arm.
Oh, it wasn't a pass at all. I mean, that wasn't a pass, but that's the same thing that happened with Justin Fields. Yeah. And I go, that's a fumble. And they called an incomplete pass. It wasn't a pass because it literally just threw the ball forward with a little flick, and it goes a couple of feet, and they called an incomplete pass. So that was interesting. I thought about posting the Justin Fields clip next to them. Like, why would I do that? This is going against what I want people to think. So yeah. I didn't do that. I still might, just to show the how inconsistent these calls are, just like I've done in the past with some of these quarterback hits. Like when the guy's getting the roughing the passer or whatnot. But yeah, so that was interesting. And luckily the ball bounced our way this time. It's about time in Jacksonville and Duval we start getting some of these balls bouncing our way instead of the other way. You look back at the Patriots, man. The the play with Miles Jack. Like, come on. Like, things like that usually happen against Duval. So this time I think we got one in our favor.
Absolutely. And you'll take it 10 times out of 10, no question about it.
Yeah.
But I've been saying for years, you've got to make these officials and referees full-time employees. The NFL has the resources to do it. Sure, you're going to lose a lot of the guys you currently have because they have other jobs, but the guys you currently have are not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Make this a
realize
full-time job. I don't understand it. I mean,
they make 15 billion. I think I told you the other day, I was doing a little program and, I'm getting my MBA in business school from Indiana University, Kelley School of Business. And we were doing this breakdown of the NFL and the business side of things. And I think they pulled in like $16 billion last year. They have enough money to make these guys full-time employees, and I didn't know that they weren't. So you're telling me these guys are Foot Locker employees. That's why they just keep the shirts on. They come back and ref games. That's crazy. Yeah. I thought for sure these guys were professional full-time employees, but that's crazy.
Most of them are like hot shot in their own profession, and they made their way into officiating. It's like there's lawyers and doctors and different things.
Wow.
That are officials, different people that are, high ranking in their other field. I think you got to lock it in, make this full time. I don't know why they don't, but I digress.
Yeah, we digress.
What is it like as a former player being down on a field, 70,000 screaming fans in those big moments? Like, how did it affect you? Did it raise the pressure, make you anxious, or get you more juiced up? I'm just curious because Jacksonville was raucous on Saturday night, and it will be raucous again this upcoming Saturday night. So how did that impact you? Just curious.
I enjoyed it when I was younger. It maybe got me a little nervous a little bit. It was like, man, this is a really big game. Like, I don't want to, I hope I don't mess up. But then as I got older, I enjoyed it, and I just loved the experience, like after a few years. Because coming from Missouri State, I wasn't used to, I'm an FCS guy. I wasn't used to those big stages. I was playing in front of 10,000 people if we were lucky. I was like my mom and my dad in the crowd. I'm waving to them. I know exactly everybody's there watching the game. But once you embrace that, and most of these guys are from bigger schools and used to that, it's just fun. If you're at home, it's fun. If you're away and you're in those situations, it's hard to hear. And as a tight end, I hated that because I was a smaller guy for a tight end. Obviously, I'm not small. I'm like 6'3", 245, which is big for most people. But in the NFL, you are small. So I needed to always, my first focus was always getting off the ball as fast as possible, get 2 feet in the ground before the defender gets one. I wanted to shoot off the ball like a rocket. And that's what I always did on a snap count. I would jump the snap count. It almost looked like I was false starting, but I just knew exactly
like
when
Jawan.
to go. Yeah.
Jawan Taylor's had that for a long time.
Yeah.
Just
but
perfect
when
timing.
You're away, you have to do, and it's loud, you have to do silent count. So then you're a tight end. You're literally at the end of the line. You can't see that. You usually go off the center's head movements. It's silent one up, 2 up, 3, it's like whatever, or he's going to move to the side, and that's how you go. But you can't see because you're next to, Cam Robinson. I'm like, Cam's big ass head's in the way. I'm not going to be able to see the center to get off the ball. So for me, I was always late, and that was something that I disliked personally. But also audibles, play calls, you got to be on your hand signals. So there's a big advantage, in my opinion, to being at home. And I think Duval's going to show up and show out. And I saw like Colin Cowherd saying there's no home field advantage for the Jaguars at all. They don't have a fan base. And like, were you not watching the game on Saturday? Like, did you not see? You don't think all those fans are going to come back out and support the playoff game? Like, he's trying to say there's no fan base. And I think Duval is going to show up and show out like they did and get loud on every single offensive possession for the Chargers, because it does help.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute joke that people like Colin Cowherd and Skip Bayless, that these are the people influencing the mass media, influencing, the masses with their takes. It's just they don't do the work.
Yeah.
They do not do the work.
They don't.
And
They just say random stuff and don't know what they're talking about.
And they can do that because it doesn't matter. It's the 24-hour news cycle. They say something stupid, people move on, whatever, and they're back on TV the next day to say something else stupid. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this isn't even just about the Jet. Like, I'm not offended that Colin Cowherd doesn't think that the Jaguars don't have fans. Like, I was there. There was 70,000 people screaming for 4 hours straight. Like, it was unbelievable.
Was he not watching the game? I'm literally like, I'm listening to this interview, and he's like, yeah, San Diego or Jacksonville, home field advantage doesn't matter. Neither of these teams have fan base. I'm like, okay, Cowherd.
It's crazy. But, I think that the fans absolutely made a massive difference for that defense in the second half. The Jaguars' offense stalled in the second half because, quite frankly, the Titans were playing with their hair on fire.
Yeah.
Defensively. And they got a bunch of guys back in that game. That defense, the way they stood up in the second half, was directly impacted by how loud the fans were. There's no question about it in my mind. That stadium was raucous.
Yeah.
So
no, that helps, man. That brings energy. You feel that energy. You feel the team behind you. You feel the energy on defense. Obviously, I'm on the offensive side of the ball. You want it to be quiet, when you're playing. So, your fans are, but on defense, I've heard players talk, they want it to be as loud as possible. They feed off that. They love the energy. Incomplete pass, drop pass, crowd goes crazy. They just love that. And, as an offensive player, I hated it. It was annoying. So, from both sides, I was like, you're in a away game, like, shut up. Okay. It's one of those things. So that matters. That helps. We need a big showing on Saturday for this Jags team.
Absolutely. If you're on the fence about showing up to this one, about getting tickets, maybe, you're like, well, they are really expensive. They're really expensive, but these times are not guaranteed. If you
what
have
are they
the
going
means,
for right now? Do you know?
A lot.
Yeah.
I think in the 400s, which is the upper deck, you're looking at least 150 to 200 plus per.
Yeah.
I think in the middle, you're probably looking more like 200 to 300 per. Lower bowl, probably
4
or 5.
6.
Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe even more than that. And I'm not up to date, but my point is, if you have the means, go be a part of this environment, because these moments are not guaranteed. You do not know when the next time this is going to happen. Now, do you feel good about the Jaguars' future? Absolutely. You love Trevor. You love Doug. You like a lot what's going on. That doesn't mean this is guaranteed to be back next year or anytime. You never know what happens. So if you do have the means, and I know not everyone does, but if you do, go enjoy this football game. Go enjoy some Jacksonville football, some Trevor Lawrence and Doug Pederson. And go show the world that Colin Cowherd is a jackass, right? Go show the world. You're going to be on primetime. Show the world.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot has been made about Trevor Lawrence's performance in this game. What did you think about how Trevor played in this one?
I thought he had some ups and some downs, but the main stat is the win column, right? And he won the game. I thought he made some good plays. I thought he missed a couple. It wasn't, the Trevor we've been seeing in this second half of the season where he's just been on fire and just very efficient. But I thought he played well. There was no semblance of a running game at the Jaguars had and be like, oh, you need to run the ball more. It's like, dude, every time you run the ball, you're just getting stuffed. I know they only had 14 carries, and usually Doug does a better job of sticking to the run, but they just couldn't get anything going. So you had to rely on Trevor. Yeah, I don't blame him either.
There was nothing you could do on the ground.
Yeah, he made some big plays.
When I say him, I was saying Doug.
Yeah, Doug. Yeah, I don't blame him for not running the ball either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he did okay. I don't think he, obviously the fumble was, not it was something you need to clean up. But besides that, I thought he did a decent job.
Yeah, I thought he had really outside of that fumble, which you could say, well, Jamal, just hold on to the damn thing. It was
Yeah.
high, but
Yeah.
like he could have caught it. The miss to Zay Jones in the end zone. That was obviously a miss you can't have.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, he threw some absolute darts in this game, just like he has
Yeah.
throughout the rest of the last 2 months. Like he had a no look over the middle to Marvin Jones that was absolutely filthy.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much
Hit another one to Marvin that hit him in the hands when Marvin was sliding, and Marvin's got a catch. I mean, there were some plays that were drops too.
Yeah, and then almost all the throws to Christian Kirk were awesome. Like, it was beautiful. The one where Christian Kirk was on the over and was wide open, that was an easy throw for Trevor. But all the other completions to Christian Kirk, it was like tight window, has to be on time, has to be on the money, and it was right there. And Christian
Huge.
Kirk made some great plays on the ball too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does this concern you, the fact that he missed Zay Jones in the end zone and, had the fumble thing with Jamal Agnew? Does that concern you moving forward, or?
I mean, the Agnew thing, obviously the fumble, but I mean, dude, that's a different play. And I like that, I actually don't mind that play call. People say, "What are you doing, dog?" I mean, if you looked at, they showed the replay, there was one guy there, and he's probably going to score.
When Doug gets those things and they work, he's a genius.
Yeah, he's a
When the
genius.
offensive guys kind of don't execute, then it's,
Yeah, so I mean, I don't blame him for that. And then that play to Zay, he's got to make that. I mean, he's rolling to his left. I'm like trying to make excuses for it. There's kind of a defender there. You got to throw over. You just got to make that play. And I think that he will make that play. I mean, 9 times out of 10, Trevor Lawrence is going to make that throw. Jordan, I think you go out there, man. You might make that throw.
I think I could make that throw. I'm with you. As long as I can get it over the defenders and then drop it down.
Yeah, I think you had that one, man. Honestly.
Love it. So, yeah, I'm not concerned. It will be something to monitor to see if he really has any misses or anything. And people were talking about, he didn't play great against the Texans. He had the interception. The interception was a miscommunication. Zay Jones stopped running his route.
Yeah.
And then, he didn't have any touchdowns against the Texans. Yeah, that's because they were running the ball at will. Travis Etienne scored. Snoop Conner scored. Michael Hasty scored. I'm not concerned with Trevor personally at all.
Yeah.
And I think he's built for this. I think he kind of knows. I mean, not kind of knows. He knows that he needed to hit that throw to Zay and that you can't have that turnover on the fumble.
Yeah.
He knows that. And I think he's the type of guy, he has it in him to be like, I'm not going out like that. Like, I think he's going to bounce back is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And there was just a sense in that game that the Titans were just going to do anything they possibly could. There was like, they're going for it on 4th down. They're running trick play. They're trying to throw a lateral across the field. They're doing, I mean, and to be able, to get through that storm, I think now is going to be more of a typical football game against the Chargers. It's not like one team is just, out here just playing to hope to, try to stay in the game somehow. This is going to be a normal game. This is a team, there's not going to be any tricks. This is going to be who executes better. You're not going to go out there and trick them. You're not going to surprise them with something you've done. You've already played a full season. You literally played this exact team. Obviously, I think the Chargers stud receiver was out and Herbert had the ribs, if I remember correctly. And there's a few things back there, but the Jaguars are playing better too. So I'm still, confident moving forward as well.
Absolutely. Now, Jaguars defense, they kind of went nuts against the Chargers in week 3. They've kind of gone nuts on teams over the last month or so. Granted, those teams have been Josh Dobbs, Tennessee Titans, Zach Wilson's New York Jets, Davis Mills, Houston Texans. But you also see how they shut the Cowboys down in the second half of that game. They shut the Titans down in that second half of the first game against them. Yeah. So my question to you, is the Jaguars defense for real? Can they actually slow down good teams in the playoffs, more specifically the Chargers?
I think they can. I think that, you see Josh Allen's the defensive player of the week this week. And the way these guys are playing, Tyson Campbell, he's just next level. I think he's one of the best in the business. And he just does an incredible job there. And I know there's some good receivers. I mean, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer are all, solid players there, and they're going to have to shut these guys down. Foye had another big game, 14 plus tackles. I think this defense is for real, and I think they can continue to play well. Obviously, you're going against Justin Herbert, who is, I don't know, maybe top what? Some people have him top 5, some people top 10 for sure. But
Top
this guy's
4.
yeah.
To me, him and Trevor are 4 and 5 behind Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow.
Yeah, he's second in the league in passing yards. This guy's 4,700 passing yards. That's crazy. He's 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, QBR top 10, completion percentage is 68. That's one of the best completion percentages in the league. This guy's efficient, man. He's tough. He's a big guy. He can run. He does it all. Second in the league in passing yards. This guy is a, top 5, 6 quarterback, in my opinion. And it's going to be tough for this defense. Mike Caldwell's got his work cut out for him here. And you got to get pressure. I think pressure alleviates a lot of things. Trayvon Walker has got to get pressure. Josh Allen has to get pressure. Arden Key comes up with a big play in the game. He's got to get pressure. I think you got to have these guys really come out. Roy Robinson Harris got to get some pressure. You got to create some different things, and you don't want to have to blitz, because when you blitz, that's when you start opening up lanes. This guy can run. You're putting the stress on the coverage. So, it's a give and take, but I like the defense's chances here. I know they did a good job against him last time. Obviously, he wasn't 100%. He's going to be licking his chops, get back and get another chance at the Jaguars.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I have one question for you before we get into our biggest surprises on offense and defense from an individual standpoint this year. And then we're going to get into would you rather to close out the show. But my final question, Jaguars, last week they had one less day to prepare, or excuse me, they had like 3 or 4 less days to prepare for the Titans than the Titans had to prepare for them. Yeah. This week, the Jags have an extra day. Jags played Saturday, Chargers played Sunday. Do you think it matters?
I think it helps. This is, the Jaguars run a normal week now. This is a normal week you've done throughout the whole season. You're putting your base offense in on the normal day. You're putting your third down offense on the normal day. You're putting your red zone in on the normal day. You're traveling on your normal day. This is a typical game week. For the Chargers, everything moves up a day. You're going to have to, instead of, your off day is, Monday, or you come in on Monday, your off day is Tuesday, then you're back on Wednesday. Now you have no off day. You come in Monday, you watch a film, you're back to work on Tuesday. No off day, and now you're pushing everything up. Okay, now you got your third down, your base, your red zone, and you're cramming everything in there. I think if you have a good coach and a good plan, it kind of alleviates a lot of the stress there. But if you're a younger team and you're not really used to this type of situation, it could be a distraction because you have this routine that you've set up that is now different. So I think that could be a little bit of an advantage for the Jaguars. It's not going to be huge, but it's definitely something.
Yeah, I think it's something, but doesn't take away all the other things that you need to do throughout the week. Kind of like, I think that's what you're getting at there. All right, so transitioning here. Biggest surprises from individuals this year, just, regular season's over. Counting stats are in the book for the regular season. What's the biggest surprise for you for the Jaguars on offense from an individual performance standpoint? Like, you've got Trevor scoring 30 total touchdowns in year 2. Year 1 in the system. ETN having 1,000 yards on the ground. Kirk 1,000 yards through the air. Ingram had 73 catches, 766 yards. Zay 82 for 823. What's the biggest surprise for you on this offensive side of the ball for the Jags?
I'm going to say 2 things. I'm going to say the first is offensive line. I thought this offensive line did a great job this year, pass protection at the most. I think they kept Trevor clean for the most part, and I've been very impressed. And obviously bringing in Brandon Sheriff, you think you're going to have a decent line, and Linder's gone, and like, okay, you literally have the same line you did last year, but now you're just replacing, Sheriff, with help me out here, Jordan, the guy that went to
you're
the
replacing
Redskins. What's his name?
Yes, Andrew
Um,
Norwell with Brandon Sheriff.
Norwell with Sheriff, which is obviously an improvement. But the offensive line, in my opinion, was the biggest surprise. I thought they did a great job. Even when Cam goes down, you have Walker Little step in, and now you got another left tackle that can play.
Yeah.
So I think this whole unit has done a good job. I think that their young center has improved at the beginning of the season. I was a guy saying that, you get this guy out of here. He's getting beat. He's gotten better. I think Shatley has done a nice job stepping in for injury here. And I think that overall the O-line has been my biggest surprise. And then also Evan Ingram. I'm glad he's had a good year. He's a talented guy, but he's always been plagued by the drops and, he's not big enough. But I thought that he impressed. Big year. He made himself a lot of money this year, and he's going to be a prize target for a lot of teams looking for a tight end next year. So offensive line and Evan Ingram, the tight end, my two biggest surprises on offense.
Yeah, I like that. And for me, it's, Walker Little being able to step in with that offensive line, like you said. And really, I mean, Luke Fortner starting all year as a rookie.
Yeah.
They've been good. Like you said, especially in pass protection. I like that. And then Ingram as well. The one reason I wouldn't go with Ingram is because it's Doug Pederson. This is what he does.
Loves tight ends. He loves tight ends.
That's what he does. And Ingram had the skill, like the athleticism and the skill set. I would say offensively, I've been most surprised by what I've seen on the field from Zay Jones. And there's been some really disappointing moments for sure for Zay. But I didn't think that he would have the ceiling that he's had this year. Because when he's at his best, he has been like a legitimate wide receiver one. The way he's able to do things like just extending to go get footballs, creating separation and man-to-man coverage. Some of the things he's done have been shocking to me. I just didn't know that he had that in his skill set and within him. So I've been surprised by Zay Jones, and sometimes it's been pleasant surprises, sometimes it's been disappointing surprises, but I have been surprised a lot by Zay Jones this year.
Zay Jones had 26 more catches this season than he had any other season in his career. And I mean, that shows you how impressive. 175 more yards this year than he has any other year in his career. A lot of people saying, obviously you got the Christian Kirk, you overpaid for him, but a lot of people are saying you overpaid for Zay Jones too. This guy's a journeyman, Buffalo to Las Vegas, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders, and now you get him here. But he's done a good job. I like that pick. And then obviously, I mean, we're not saying that what Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne did is impressive. And I think for Travis Etienne, I mean, I just thought he was going to be good. But looking back to before the season, nobody knew what Travis Etienne was going to be. This guy, nobody knew. Nobody knew how he was going to play. He's coming off of a Liz Frank injury. He's not even your starting running back this year. And for him to finish with 1,000 yards and to come out as one of the best weapons for the Jaguars is impressive. I mean, we can't, forget this guy. And then you trade James Robinson. What? It's because Travis Etienne became a bona fide superstar. I mean, and this guy ended the year, he ended the year averaging 5.1 yards a carry, had 1,100 yards, could catch the football, 35 receptions on 45 targets, 300 plus yards. I mean, overall, this guy is just, done it week in and week out. Obviously, he's got to hold on to the football. Mm-hmm. Got 3 fumbles lost. Not good. But overall, he has been very impressive too.
Yeah, like you said, me saying Zay Jones or you saying Evan Ingram, that's not us saying that those were the best performances. Yeah. Those are the most surprising performances.
Surprising.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was better. Christian Kirk was better.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne was better. No doubt about it. We're not trying to say that. So just to clarify for anyone out there, like, how are you going to take Zay? Yeah. So switching sides of the ball. biggest surprise performance on defense from an individual standpoint. You got Tyson balling out all year, Foye leading the league in tackles, Darius, as soon as you move him outside full time, he starts playing like one of the best corners in the league. What's the biggest surprise on that side of the ball for you?
Biggest surprise on the defensive side of the ball, I would have to say, is Foye. Obviously, I knew he could tackle and lead the league in tackles, but overall, man, he is just a leader. I love the way this guy can get around blocks, get over blocks, and really step up for this defense. And some people say, dude, this guy led the league in tackles last year. But overall, I've been just really impressed with how professional this guy is, how he can take on blocks. He'll literally juke guys to get around blocks. I love the way he plays. So Foye, Lucan would have to be my biggest surprise. So of the defensive side of the ball.
I like that. And I agree. I didn't expect him to be as impactful. Like he is the Jaguars defensive MVP.
Yeah.
Tyson Campbell. And I think somebody said it on Twitter who I follow. I think it might have been, I can't remember who it was, but they said Foye is the MVP of the defense. Tyson Campbell is the best player on the defense. And I completely agree with both of those.
Absolutely agree.
So obviously impressed with both of those guys, but I'm most surprised by Arden Key. This is a guy who he's been in a bigger role this year than he has in the past for the Jaguars. Part of that's due to injury, DeJuan Smoot in front of him. Part of that's just due to the Jaguars liking what he's doing, but he's been on a warpath, and he was one of the best players on the field for the Jaguars against the Titans. He was consistently in the backfield, consistently making life hell for Josh Dobbs. And not only is it what he does on the field, I didn't know like really much about Arden Key's personality. He's been a bona fide leader and a guy that gets people hyped up for this football team. And, they keep walking out to set it off by Boosie. Arden Key's got the boom box going on. Like, he has made this team more fun.
Yeah. You need those guys.
I just didn't know. I didn't know what type of guy he was coming in. I knew he was a guy you could use as a rotational pass rusher, but I didn't know the personality that was going to come along with it and all that. And this has been his best year by far, like bar none. This is the best year he's had as a pro. He has 44 quarterback pressures on 323 pass rush snaps. That's really, really impressive for Arden Key as a rotational guy who's taken on a bigger role recently, again, with DeJuan Smoot being out, with Trayvon Walker missing some time as well prior to the last couple weeks. So super, super impressed and surprised by the personality and energy that Arden Key has brought to the football team. I do think there's one guy we should talk about before we move on here. How about the turnaround for Rayshawn Jenkins? Because so many people wanted to run him out of town last year.
Wanted him gone.
And I looked at him as the weakest link on the Jaguars defense entering the regular season. I didn't think he was a terribly weak link, because I did think when you looked at what he did prior to being on an Urban Meyer-led team, he had a pretty good career. And he came into Jacksonville and he immediately established the respect of the locker room by being voted a team captain in year one of being in Jacksonville. And then things just kind of fell apart, but they fell apart for everyone last year.
Yeah.
But he was the one guy people were not giving a pass. People were like, nah, let's move on. And he is one of the most, if you were going to argue someone else for defensive MVP besides Foye Oluokun, I think Rayshawn Jenkins is right up there.
No, I agree. He's made some big plays, and the guy has really, after facing a lot of criticism, it's impressive what he's been able to do, because there's a lot of people saying, get this guy out of here. He can't play, bench him. And, you don't have many people behind him to play. And he's just an all around player. He's not just a guy that's going to cover, but he can blitz. This guy can tackle. Like, he can do a lot of things. And that's why I like him as a player. He's not just pigeonholed into one thing. He can do a lot of different things from that position.
Yeah, and it's energy, kind of like Arden Key. So much energy he brings to that football field.
Yeah.
And 2 walk-off turnovers forced, game-winning plays by Rayshon Jenkins. The walk-off interception against the Cowboys, and then the forced fumble leading to the touchdown for Josh Allen this week, which wasn't walk-off, but it was end of the game winner, no doubt about it. So, yeah, I think just there's been some really fun stuff on that side of the ball for the Jaguars, especially over the last couple months. So that leads us to our final little segment here of the show, Bleav in Jaguars. Make sure to subscribe and review on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Helps this show grow. Would you rather? We're going to jump into it. Doug Pederson or Brandon Staley? And these would you rathers, it's going to be about this AFC wildcard matchup between the Jaguars and the Chargers, just to get y'all ready. All these questions are going to be about the Chargers. Would you rather Doug Pederson or Brandon Staley as your head coach, and in this specific matchup?
I love Brandon Staley, but I mean, Doug Pederson, I'm a big Doug Pederson guy. Obviously used to be my coach, but this guy's a former player. This guy's a former quarterback coach. This guy's a former offensive coordinator. Who else would you want for your young stud quarterback than Doug Pederson? This guy's won the Super Bowl. He's won these playoff games. He's won a Super Bowl as a player. I think I got to check on that. But as a coach, of course, he's won. And he's just a guy that brings a lot of energy, genuine guy, offensive genius, Doug Pederson for me.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to pick against Doug Pederson. Most of the time when you're talking about which head coach would you rather have. Now, if Doug gets the job done this week, I think it's a conversation in week 2 of the playoffs because you're going to Kansas City, it looks like. But that's a conversation for another day. I would take Doug Pederson over Brandon Staley. Look, I think both. What'd you say?
We're a little biased too, I think, but
we are. But Doug Pederson is a wonderful leader. No question about that, right? Like, he gets his guys fired up. He gets his guys motivated. No question about that, right?
Yeah.
I think you can say the same thing about Brandon Staley. Doug Pederson is also a master play caller on offense. Master. Like, one of the very best in the world today. Bar none. You like that? I think Brandon Staley is right at that level as a defensive coordinator. As well.
Yeah.
I do. I think Brandon Staley is a great defensive coordinator. The issue I have with Brandon Staley is game management and injury management. Like, what are we doing? What on earth are we doing? You are playing for nothing, and you have your starters playing into the second half for no reason.
Yeah.
You have Mike Williams sustaining an injury. Brandon Staley says Joey Bosa didn't get hurt, but he left the game, and now he's on the injury report. But he didn't get hurt. Okay. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
If we're Brandon Staley here. And he's also had, like, some weird decisions on 4th down calls. He used to be kind of like Doug, like the super aggressive, but now he's kind of reined that back in, and he's not been as aggressive. And even though he is a great defensive play caller, his run defense is atrocious, one of the worst in the league. So if you're telling me, and you can say that's personnel, I think it probably is personnel more than it is coaching, but it's an issue.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at, so we got the phone ringing in the background here. But when you look at the fact that Brandon Staley is a defensive coach and his run defense is pretty much broken, I think that's unacceptable. And I think the injury management is unacceptable, and some of the game management stuff has been weird this year. And just the fact that kind of like, he after the game, and instead of admitting, maybe we shouldn't have had these guys or playing, or maybe we should have had more than 4 receivers dressed so we could get Keenan Allen out of the game, because Keenan Allen played that whole freaking game. It's one of the most injury-prone wide receivers in football, and you're going to play him the whole game in a meaningless football game?
Yeah, agreed.
And look, Brandon Staley has not been here and done this before as a head coach.
Yeah, it's only
Doug
second
Peterson's
season.
done it many times.
Yeah.
It's only Brandon Staley's second season. How many times has he been in the playoffs as a head coach? This is his first time.
First trip.
This is Doug Peterson's fourth trip as a head coach. He's been there as a player. He's been there as an assistant many times. And now it's his fourth trip to the playoffs as a head coach. And so I'm taking Doug all day. And
Let's go.
Let's be real. If you're going to take the best offensive play caller in the world or the best defensive play caller in the world to be your head coach, I'm taking the best offensive play caller.
Well, offense. Offensive league, baby.
Yeah. And I'm not saying head to head, that's what you want, but for the course of a 17 game season now and the playoffs, you want the offense. You would rather have the offensive guy. That's the bottom line, especially when you're a team that has a young superstar quarterback, which both of these teams do.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
I'm taking Doug. We're both taking Doug.
Doug Peterson.
All right. Now we got to talk about quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert here, man.
Man, this is tough. This is a tough one. And, Trevor Lawrence is 23, Herbert 24. They're both big-time players, but maybe I'm biased, but I've obviously watched Trevor a lot more, but I think the upside of Trevor Lawrence is just too much to pass up. And, I know you look at career stats, but you got to take into account what happened with Trevor Lawrence last year with, the coach he had. I mean, Urban Meyer was not a guy that's going to help your numbers. But you look at the last half of this season, and I would take Trevor Lawrence over the majority of quarterbacks in this league, almost all of them, barring maybe one or two. And that's why I have to go with Trevor. I know what he's capable of. I think he's got the most ability, talent in any quarterback, and one of the best complete quarterbacks we've seen in the draft in years. So I think for me, I got to go with Trevor. This guy's got legs. He can throw it. He's got accuracy. He's got the personality. He can work. He's a leader. He's got everything you want as a quarterback. So I'm not saying Herbert doesn't. Herbert can sling it. Second in the league in receiving yards, 25 touchdowns. The guy's a baller. He can run too. But if you have to pick one, it's 1A, 1B. These guys are close, but I'm going with Trevor.
Yeah. It's hard for me to answer this question because I think they're both absolute superstars. Like you meant, they're both unbelievable.
Yeah.
Any team in the league would be happy to have these guys.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about the Bills or the Chiefs.
Yeah. Maybe.
But even then, you'd be happy to have these guys.
Yeah.
They're great young quarterbacks. And they're both, like you said, really young. Trevor Lawrence is 23 in his second year. Justin Herbert, 24 in his third year. For me, I just have to go back to my pre-draft evaluation and kind of the trajectory of these guys, their whole careers. Trevor Lawrence, I liked him a lot better in the draft. Everyone liked him a lot better coming out of high school, going into college. He did more in college. And quite frankly, Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson calling plays, or Justin Herbert and Joe Lombardi calling plays. Now you can talk about, Justin Herbert has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, all these different things. Hopefully for the Chargers, he has Mike Williams this weekend. We'll see about that. Because he's now day-to-day is Mike Williams. But it's such a coin flip for me between these two quarterbacks. I think either one could step out on the field and have that day. Both of them could step out on the field and have that big day. But I'll take Trevor just because I go further back with Trevor with where he, and I just think the ceiling is higher. He's 23 right now. He's in his second year, first year in this system. And in my opinion, he's playing every bit at as high of a level as Justin Herbert is right now. So I'll take Trevor.
Agreed.
Now, like I said, I think either one of those guys could be the better quarterback on a given day. I think if the Jags and Chargers play 10 times, I'm not saying the teams split, but I'm saying who has a better performance.
Yeah.
You split between
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun Saturday.
Yeah. And I think both offenses are better than both defenses. Playoff football, it does get intense. Sometimes you do see some defensive battles, but I think you're going to see more points this week. Now, we've done the coaches, we've done the quarterbacks. Now it's time for the full team. Would you rather the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Los Angeles Chargers in the wild card round, 8:15 p.m. Saturday night, NBC? It's going to be at the bank. What are you doing? What are we taking here? Who would you rather?
I mean, I'm gonna, it's not gonna be a surprise, but I'm going Jags, baby. I mean, full team. They got Austin Eckler. I like Travis Etienne. Obviously, they got some good receivers over there too. But I mean, I like our guys. Offensive line. Our guys have done a great job. Even when Barsh goes down, Cam goes down, we got guys that step up and have played well. Defensively, I think we've got a little bit better of a defense than they do of late. And overall, I just think this team is really gelled moving into the second half of this season. So that being said, I'm going Jags, baby. Duval, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones. Like I just think these guys they play well together. Good, solid defense has been playing great lately. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, Arden Key. I think you got some guys that can get some pressure. So I'm going with Duval.
Love it. I normally wait to get into my big predictions here later in the week, but we'll go ahead and get it. I've been poring over this matchup for the last 48 to 72 hours. The Chargers, I think they're a good young football team. I love Justin Herbert, love a lot of the pieces. I think they probably have a little bit more talent than the Jaguars on paper, pure talent. But I'm taking the Jaguars. I think they're playing better football right now. They're 7-2 in their last 9. The Chargers are 5-4 in their last 9. And the Chargers have struggled on the road. Their 2 road wins this year were at Atlanta, where they won 20-17. And 3 road wins. At Atlanta, you won 20-17. At Cleveland, you won 30-28. At Houston, you won 34-24. None of those teams are playoff teams.
No.
They have not beaten a playoff team on the road.
Yeah.
And the only playoff teams they've beaten all year are the Dolphins, who at that time when they played them 5 weeks ago were in the midst of a losing streak.
Yeah.
And is that it? Who else have they beaten that's in the playoffs?
I think they beat the Raiders. They're not.
They beat the Raiders, Texans, Browns, Broncos, Falcons, Cardinals, Dolphins, Titans, Colts, Rams. They've beaten one playoff team all year.
Yeah.
The Jaguars have beaten 3 playoff teams this year.
Yeah.
The Jaguars are 5-2 at home in TIAA Bank Field under Doug Pederson.
Let's go.
I'm taking the Jags. I think they're better coached.
Yeah.
I think Doug Pederson gives them more of an advantage than Brandon Staley does the Chargers.
I like it.
I love it. I'm fired up, Clay.
I'm ready to go, baby. Good way to start my Wednesday here, man. Ready for this game already. Give me some pads. I'm coming back.
Let's go. We've got 3 more sleeps, unfortunately, before this football game.
Yeah, 3 more.
Well, that's good.
They'll be quick.
We got the guys. They're going to be getting ready. Doug's going to be getting them ready this week down at the bank. I think it's going to be, to me, it is the most enticing wild card matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Playoffs, bar none.
I mean, look at these 2 quarterbacks playing each other. That's going to be fun. And then you got the opportunity for Doug to win, and then you have a big storyline if he goes to Kansas City and plays against his old boss. So that would be fun.
Yeah, that honestly, my whole in-laws, Chiefs.
Oh yeah, you're a Kansas City guy.
I'm not. The in-laws are.
Yeah,
I'm a Jacksonville guy, but that would be difficult for the DeLugo Stewart family. I'll tell you that right now.
That'd be a tough
Chiefs
day.
versus Jags in the playoffs.
Oh man,
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, let's
Jags gotta take care of business.
But you know how we got to end this thing. We got to hit him with
That's right.
one time for the big win. Let's go, Duval!
Beautiful. All right, y'all. Do not forget to pack the bank out this Saturday. Again, if you're waffling and you have the means, go get the damn tickets. Get into that game and cheer on the Jaguars. Make Colin Cowherd eat his damn words. Like
Yes.
the idiot he is. And I'm not one to normally go off and call people idiots and jackasses, but that's how he acts every single day. So
yeah,
pack
and he's
the
taking
damn
a
bank.
shot at Jacks, man.
Pack the damn bank, people. Get fired up. Wear teal the rest of the week. Wear your Jaguars gear the rest of the week. And enjoy this time of year is not guaranteed for football teams. Only 7 teams in each conference are here. Enjoy it while it's here. You never know what's going to happen in the future. All right, Duval. So thanks again so much for tuning in. You can hit Clay up on Twitter at ClayHarbs82, myself at Jordan DeLugo. Subscribe and review on your podcast platform of choice. You can also check us out on the Gen Jag YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. Have a great rest of your Victory Wednesday.